Theo, how's it
Yeah,
going, man?
not bad, man. You?
I'm not too bad, man. Welcome to the Wresthings podcast, bro. How you feeling?
You got to give him a big introduction.
Hey,
Yeah.
we got to give you a big... Come on, what's this, man? Yes. Hailing from Livingstone, Scotland.
Yeah, man.
Yo.
Between
Innit? Current reckless intent champion.
Yeah, bro.
yeah, man. It's fucking dead just now.
Yeah. Sick.
Nothing going on.
I know, man. The lockdown's got everyone literally trapped at home and that. And, you know, we thought it was only right to, like, reach out to superstars and get the interview on the current perspective of wrestling right now, man. So, yeah, man. If you want, like, as usual, we already introduce ourselves on the podcast. So if you want to introduce yourself to the people that don't know who you are, just let us know.
No worries, man. Just whenever. Oh,
Yeah.
let's fucking go and sit down somewhere a bit more comfortable, man. Oh. There we go.
Yeah, well.
So I am Theo Doros, and I am a professional wrestler based in Livingston, Scotland. Been wrestling since 2015, I think now.
That's it.
So, yeah, current reckless intent champion. Yeah, didn't have a currently. Oh fuck, swearing allowed or
Yeah, of course, man. This is.
I heard. I listened to your. I listened to the last podcast you guys did, but just to make sure that swearing's.
That's right. You could be yourself in it.
That's
You
all
know,
good.
we're not limiting no one in it. So, you know, as you feel in it. But yeah, sick, man, sick. Obviously, we always had to do our Googles and stuff and watch a few matches and stuff. And I think we watched a match with you and Dick. Is it Dick Divers?
Dickie Divers, yeah.
Divers.
Sick, man.
Dickie Divers.
That was sick. Like, you really know how to, like, get the crowd on your side and, like, you know, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let us know a bit more about your wrestling history. Like, where have you, like, you know, did you?
So I was initially trained by a guy called Michael Chase. He ended up being my tag partner as well. Michael Chase and Scotty Rennick. And so Mikey, he had a tryout with WWE.
That's it.
I think there, although his knee went during the tryout, which has unfortunately led him to retire. But I've wrestled all over Scotland, wrestled in England as well, bits down there, mainly with Target and stuff. But I've been to Greece as well. I was in Greece, took a seminar over there with some of the guys there. But yeah, mainly just up here in Scotland, bits and pieces here. A mainstay really at Reckless, where I was trained and stuff. And with Discovery Wrestling as well, where I've actually got I was meant to this Sunday, but obviously the rescheduling.
Yeah.
I was meant to be wrestling Joe Hendry for the Y Division Championship. So I'm currently number one contender for the Y Division Championship at Discovery Wrestling as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, hopefully get some more gold.
Yeah. That sounds lit, man. That sounds sick, man. I'm proper sick, man. So have you, like, you not obviously said you wrestled in Scotland, but you haven't wrestled outside the UK yet, have you?
No, so I'm not actually. When I went to Greece, I never wrestled. I just took a wrestling seminar, and I'm still in contact with the guys through their Hellenic Pro Wrestling. It's just trying to fucking find dates and stuff. Try to get everything sorted, get schedules tying in and stuff.
Cool, sick. Obviously, the question that probably people wanted to know is this: what's your oldest memory of wrestling? How did you get into it? You know, are you watching it from young? Like, you know, how did it become your profession?
So I was watching wrestling when I grew up in Cyprus, and my first memory of wrestling is a promo between Austin and Rock in the build up to their match to probably WrestleMania 17. It would have been.
Yeah. That was sick.
So ever since then, I was hooked. Massive Rock fan. I preferred him to Austin straight away. And so I watched wrestling probably up until about 2004. Just before WrestleMania 20 was when I stopped watching.
Oh, wow. How comes?
ended up, so me and my mate were just channel surfing, flicking through, and I'd not watched wrestling in years, and flashed up on Sky Sports, Raw gets rocked. So we were like, oh, Rock must be back. So it was him, and then it said it was on, we watched a bit of it, said Rock and John Cena were teaming up at Survivor Series. So I thought, oh, Rock's back. And then obviously it said WrestleMania Rock versus Cena. So we saw it was Rock, Cena, Taker, Triple H, Hell in a Cell. So we thought, fuck it, we'll watch this. We'll watch the WrestleMania, have a night of it. Mm-hmm. And then just since then, man, The Rock came out, said he was going for the title the next night. Brock Lesnar came back, and that was me hooked straight away, man. Yeah. Back in it.
Yeah, that's true. I think Versi spoken a few times. One of the guys on the chat right now.
Yeah,
times about that moment there, with him, Brock Lesnar coming back and The Rock coming back, and I'm sure that it's a magical moment for everyone.
Yeah, because when The Rock came back in 2011, that's because I stopped watching from after the Benoit tragedy. I just felt a bit weird. You know what I mean? That was just a bit too much. So when The Rock came back, because I started watching from around 2002, so I was like, oh, let me see what's happening there, and then didn't really like WrestleMania 27, but I still stuck with it. And then when Mark Henry became champ, I just stuck with it, and obviously CM Punk and all that.
Yeah, The Rock coming back was what got me back into it.
Yeah,
massive fan of his. Massive fan.
Favorite match for Rock? Gone to your head.
Oh, Rock Hogan, Mania 18. Probably my favorite match ever. Rock Hogan. I just think.
What do you think of their rematch though from No Way Out? Did you watch that one when he was Hollywood Rock?
Not as good. So the issue with that for me is obviously The Rock's a heel, but he's just so cool. Everyone just loved him. I was actually talking about this earlier today about that Rock Hogan match with one of my mates.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying how, because my mate Darren Goss does a commentary for Discovery. Me and him just we'll call. He lives in Wales, so me and him we'll find something on the network. We'll call each other and just sit and watch hours of wrestling. And his favourite's Hogan, my favourite's Rock. And we were actually talking about their Mania 18 match, and then we were talking about their No Way Out match and how it was never going to live up to the one at 18. Yeah. Never.
Right.
But massive Rock.
Fair. I mean, I like to go. The dynamic was different because it wasn't just like a rehash of the last few. But of course, you can't top the first match. It was just an amazing match.
Well, I think the thing with it as well is it was always just for those two guys being such big names. That match wasn't about those two. I think it was more just about building McMahon Hogan at Mania.
You're right. Yeah, because the next month was their feud. Yeah.
Yeah, so it served its purpose in building that story. So it was more used as almost like a building block for a bigger story, as opposed to actually like what Mania 18 was, where it was just two of the best ever just having a match. Whereas that was the culmination of the story. Whereas their second match was to build to something bigger, I guess. So it was never gonna live up to the first.
Agree.
So obviously we now know that The Rock's one of. Can we say Rock's one of your influences in wrestling? Can we say that?
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
So
yeah, I still remember my first match, my first ever singles match. I went out and one of the guys who trained me, Scotty Rennick, he told me it was a good idea. So I went out, my first match. I did the Rock punches with the spit punch. And I did the people as well, my first singles match. And I came back through, and Mikey, the guy who trained me, my trainer, owned the company as well, came back through and he looked at me and went, that was good for your first match, but don't ever fucking do the Rock shit again.
Oh, man.
All right, okay.
Oh,
that's cool.
How did you take that?
I was like, all right. I just went, Scott told me to do it. So
it's past the blame. Oh, it wasn't my fault.
I was like, it wasn't me, it was Scotty. Scotty told me to do it. So, I still do the people, like, see when we do, like, birthday parties and shit like that, and the outside shows where they don't get filmed or anything, where you can just go and have fun. I'll always bust out the people's elbow there, but I think my days of doing it. I did the rock shit in front of a paying crowd once, and I think that's the only time I've ever done it.
Can we find any footage online?
You'll probably be able to find it somewhere. I'll try and dig it.
There is footage, but he doesn't want to show it to us.
Yeah, there is. I'm sure there is.
From 5 years ago, I'll dig it out. It'll be somewhere. I'll dig it out.
Yeah. So, other than The Rock, is there any other favorite wrestlers you have? The top 5?
Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was always my second favorite. Just his selling. One of the matches I was most invested in when I was younger was Survivor Series 03, and it was Team Austin against Team.
Oh yes, great match.
Yeah, and I just remember Shawn Michaels left 3-on-1.
Yeah, bleeding.
Yeah, blood gushing everywhere. Got the color, and I remember being so devastated when he had Randy Orton beat, and then Batista came in and just fucked it for him. But yeah, so Shawn Michaels was always my second favorite behind The Rock. Love it. I still do. I still love Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best to ever do it, man.
Yeah. I think
100%,
in terms of in ring, I think he's the best ever in terms of just technical ability.
Yeah.
His selling as well is just absolutely insane.
You know, to keep you invested in the match, just small things.
Yeah.
The ride he takes you on his matches.
Oh yeah. Like last night, I watched him versus Brett, the Iron Man match.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
It was so good. That match, watched that last night, and it was just, it was brilliant. So good. But like when I started wrestling, I never really knew. I hadn't been smartened up about it when I started, so I started it more as just a hobby, and didn't actually realize. I thought it was just I would go and wrestle for Reckless Intent once a month, and that would be it. So I didn't actually realize there was a massive independent scene in Scotland or the UK, I guess, until I've been wrestling for a month or so, and then I realized, oh shit, you can actually go. You can, maybe not. I didn't realize you could make a living from it at the time. But I thought, you can go in there, wrestle more places. So I always saw it as like a hobby at the start, where I was looking to go make friends and stuff. But then it just sort of escalated, and before I knew it, I was spending more time wrestling than I was at home.
Was there like a key point when you switched from it being a hobby to this is something you generally want to pursue?
Not really. It just sort of happened. I still have the mentality in wrestling that as long as it's fun, I'm going to keep doing it. When it stops being fun, that's probably when I'll stop. Because I'm fortunate enough that I don't hate my Monday to Friday job. I love what I do. So it's not like I'm sitting there all week, just waiting for the weeks to go by till waiting for the week to go by so I can wrestle again. I do it for the enjoyment. The fact that I can make a bit of money out of it and stuff is obviously a bonus. But I wrestle just for the love of it. And when that goes, then that's when I'll stop. When I stop getting nervous before I go out, I guess. When I stop caring about it is when I'll stop wrestling. But so it never really. There wasn't one moment where I thought, right, this is going to take over. I just gradually got busier and busier, and then before I knew it, my bank account was looking a bit better, and
healthy.
Yeah, so that's when I was like, okay, right, let's put a bit more into this, and it seems to be working. I seem to be doing all right for myself just now.
Perfect. You've mentioned Discovery Wrestling for a minute. Before we started the interview, I managed to catch a match between you and Christopher Saint. It was an unsanctioned match. Talk me through what the feud was going in, because you had tape around your waist, and I was thinking, God,
So
man. Commentator was very intense. Talk me through it. What did he do to you?
So me and Saint, so this is the first year. So I've been in Discovery Wrestling. Debuted, I think it was 2016 in Discovery, and since I debuted, I've been involved with Saint, and one of my again, he's another one of my best friends in wrestling. So it started off where when I was introduced to Discovery Wrestling, I was introduced as part of Saint's faction as well. We had the House of Saint, and we sort of just were heels in Discovery, and then we ended up in a feud with Michael Chase. So that feud mainly between Saint and Mikey, and I was just there, wrestling in the odd tag match and stuff. But I was mainly by Saint's side. He was the head of the faction, and I was just a supporting character. And then when Saint and Mikey's feud ended, that's when Alan said to me, right, we're going to break you away from the House of Saint. So to do that, Saint brought in somebody else into the House of Saint, and there was dissension between me and Grant McIver. So eventually that led to me breaking away from the House of Saint, which Saint didn't like. He then injured my ribs in the match before our unsanctioned match, and then we went for that unsanctioned match, which is hence why I had the ribs taped up, and then I went to frog splash him through a door.
Yeah.
That didn't really go to plan because I sort of just bounced off him, and the match had to.
Yeah, you bounced and slid to the bottom, and then it ended in a double count out, kind of. And I was like, "Ow!" I felt for you because your ribs, man.
Yeah, so Saint was actually he took a bad bump, he took a belly to belly off the top, and he landed and he was winded, and so I don't know what happened, but he actually ended up going to hospital after that.
Oh.
So he landed the belly to belly, and the ref came over and said, "Give him a minute." So we changed things up, and I thought he was just a bit winded, but then when I went to hit him with the chair and I looked in his eyes, I could see, oh man, he's actually fucked here. So we went to the finish, and then for some reason I think the table was set up wrong, and I went for the frog splash off the speakers, and the table didn't break, and we just bounced, and like my ribs were killing me after that. So fuck knows what his must have been like, because he was already hurt, and me jumping off the speakers, which are they're a lot higher up than I thought they were going to be. But because I'm not a fan of heights. I'm not a fan of heights at all. So when I got up there, I was like, oh shit. But yeah, I was just praying the table broke. It didn't. So we just had to sort of cut the match there, because I don't think either of us could really carry on after that.
Oh, I see.
That's true.
So because a couple of months ago, has anything happened in that feud since? Because I wasn't able to find anything after that.
Yeah, so the feud's finished now. The blow off was it November, December it was December last year, where we had our final match. It was a Saints Rules match where the winner got a Y Division championship shot. So we ended the feud there, where it was no disqualification for him. He could hit me with a chair. He could leave the ring. I couldn't leave the ring, and it was a fun match. It was difficult to work around because I couldn't use my finish, and there was these strange stipulations. Alan Smith got a great mind for wrestling, really good mind. So he comes up with all these different show scenarios and match scenarios. So that was a lot of fun to do in December, and that's the line in the sand. I guess that's the feud done, and obviously I went over in the feud, and that's me now got my match with Joe when Discovery eventually returns in July.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll have the match with Joe in July. It was meant to be this Sunday, so hopefully in July I'll be able to have my championship shot.
Sweet, man. I'm hoping for the best for you too, man. Because I mean, going through that, I'm still just thinking about how it didn't break. Like, admittedly, I did think of Botchamania on the table. Admittedly,
Yeah. I don't know if that ended up on Botchamania. I've not watched it in a while, so I don't know if it ended up on Botchamania, but it wouldn't be out of place.
That's true.
that exposure, man. You know, it happens. But
Yeah.
definitely looking forward for you and Joe going into that.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, Joe's so good. He is so good. Obviously, he's in Ring of Honor now as well. And I've done a few training sessions with Joe. And again, his mind for the business is just insanely good. Insanely good. Just talking to him, he just picks up and notices things nobody else does, which is obviously why he's where he is. And he always says he knows where he's going to go. He knows what he's going to do. And he's got his plans, he's got his ambitions for wrestling, and he says, "Oh, I know I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to do that." And he just fucking works so hard. So I'm really excited for that match. Really looking forward to it.
That's it.
Perfect, man. That's great.
So, have you got any plans to go to America and try out the WWE or AEW as a new promotion or TNA?
So that would be my next goal, would be to try and get a tryout. I've been told by a few people I'm ready for a tryout. Just feedback I've got. So that would be what my next goal is, to try and get a tryout. Obviously, with WWE having the NXT UK brand, it makes it a lot more achievable. Guys, the guys there are fucking killing it in NXT UK.
Yeah, man. They really are, man.
The fact that, so what's this? Is this going to be? It was meant to be was it the third takeover? They were going to
third takeover, yeah, but it got postponed to October. Is it October now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's later on in the year. So I mean, so those guys are absolutely killing it. I mean, the WWE wouldn't just keep them about for the sake of it. So yeah, that would be my goal at the end of the day, would probably be to try and get onto NXT UK.
Sick, man.
Speaking of matches, what if it can be more than one? But what match of yours would you say you would recommend to someone who's not seen your stuff, and why?
So my favorite match, and nothing's ever going to top this. So I was handpicked by Mikey to wrestle his last match, or it ended up being his second last match because he wrestled at Discovery the next day against MVP. But I wrestled Mikey. It was November 2019, in his last match at Reckless Intent. He started Reckless Intent. He built it up. So for him to pick me to wrestle him in his last match, it was pretty cool. It was definitely the toughest match I've ever wrestled in terms of emotions and stuff, but in terms of performance as well. Like Mikey, it's a shame he's had to retire because of his knee and stuff, but he's so good. And because we're such good friends, we always seem to just push each other in the ring. We just seem to bring out that little bit more in each other. And Mikey's probably been my favorite guy to ever wrestle against. So yeah, I would definitely say check out. If you go into Reckless Intent's YouTube page, it'll be on there. Michael Chase versus Theo Doros.
Yeah, I just see it now. Yeah, definitely put a bookmark that, so I'll give that a watch after.
Yeah,
Monero. Nice.
Sick. Obviously, I think it's WrestleMania this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah,
next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah.
On the lead up to WrestleMania, did you watch the Royal Rumble? Did you see Drew McIntyre win it?
Oh yeah, so I watched it the next day. I didn't stay up to watch it. I'm usually in bed for 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
No, I watched it. It was like I did a seminar with Drew. I can't remember when. Years ago. It was when it was obviously when he'd been released by WWE, and I did the seminar with Drew, and then I was driving him from Glasgow through to Edinburgh for an ICW show, so I got to spend the day with him. And just again, his mind for the business is just something else, and he just again so focused, so determined. He just said, "I'm going to end up back at WWE." and he just had that drive that, his shoulder was fucked. But he was saying, oh, is there any gyms I can go to and train? I need to train. And just like, yeah. So I'm a PT as well. So I took him to the gym I worked at then. Took him to train, and even then he was like, oh, I'm just going light. But the intensity in his session there was just insane. And for somebody who was injured and meant to be going light before wrestling a show that night. So yeah, I've seen so I saw Drew obviously win the Rumble, and I was over the moon for him. I mean, when I say I know him, I don't really know him. I spent one day with him, but he was such a nice guy. He was just so polite, courteous with everything, and again, you can see why he is where he is with how hardworking he is.
Yeah, I must say, because I remember when we first started this podcast, like Versy has been rooting for Drew all along. He's always been saying Drew's going to be the next one to watch.
Bro.
I'm like, bro, I don't see what you see in Drew. As time's gone on, I'm seeing the whole. There's a nice development in him, and it's like he's actually won me over now. So yeah,
bro, I saw Drew from the wrestling channel. I don't know if you ever had that feel. Like it was on Sky years ago, for like a decade plus. I remember just seeing him, Stu Bennett, just on a random promo, and I was just like, wow, okay. And they were wrestling for Iris Wrestling, IWW, and just from them, just clocked onto him. And obviously, because wrestlers are usually kind of American, so I hadn't really seen someone with a UK accent, let alone Scottish. So that even got him to stand out to me. And then I followed him from when he first debuted. Even when he got released, and he went. There was an event they did in London, ICW, and I went. It was him versus Rhino versus Sabu, I think. So the triple threat.
Oh.
I've been following all the way. Love Drew, even 3MB days. So the fact that you spent a day with him as well, and just to see that you said he's that focused and he has the drive and he's polite. That's just makes you like him more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you always tell. As soon as he got released, he seemed to be the first guy I can remember anyway, who he just became a bigger star on the indies than he was at WWE. Whereas he could have easily just been released from WWE and come out and been like former WWE star Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway, and he could have easily just, ridden on those coattails and be like, oh, I'm a former WWE wrestler. But he made himself the biggest name, probably in wrestling, definitely independent wrestling. But he just came out of WWE and was like, right, I'm getting back there. I'm going to get back to the top. Because when he went back, there was no, we might make, we can rehash him as something or other. They just let him be what he was on the indies. And he's just taken that and just run with it. Now he's main eventing WrestleMania as himself, against Brock Lesnar. So, he set himself that goal and he's done it.
Yeah, it's amazing to see it happen. I still remember his interview that he did with Chris Jericho, like the day he got released, and he said everything he said. I'm going to make it back. And then he went to ICW, that crazy promo, everything. So I'm sure there's a lot of Scottish pride for you when you see that.
Yeah. I mean, because I never thought that anybody from the UK could really get there.
Yeah.
He almost seems to have bridged the gap between the UK independent wrestling scene and WWE. So now Drew's there. Drew almost paved the way for NXT UK to happen in a way, because he made UK wrestling so much bigger, brought so many more eyes on it, and then I think that's just snowballed with everything that's sort of happened in the UK since.
Yeah. Have you ever been able to come in contact with other Scottish wrestlers like Grado?
Yeah, I've wrestled Grado. Grado, lovely guy, really nice guy. I wrestled again. This was maybe 2016. I wrestled Grado, I think it was. So he always seems to take time to say hi to me and stuff when we're backstage and stuff. He always asks how I'm doing and that. So yeah, he's another one, really nice guy. Brand new, really, really good guy.
Seem to hear a lot of positive stories from wrestlers from Scotland.
I've got a few.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I've got a few ones that aren't as good, but I try to focus on the positives. But
Okay, makes sense.
I'll tell you one. So this is probably. I look back on it now and I piss myself laughing because it's funny. I'm not going to mention the promotion's name or anything, but it's one. It's a bit further north, and I'd been wrestling maybe a month. So I debuted really quickly after I started training. So I'd been training in the wrestling business for maybe 10 weeks. So I was wrestling for this company and I just got brand new posters. The first time I was ever selling merch. I was really, really excited. So got to the venue and the promoter comes up to me and he says, so for any merch you sell, you need to give me 10%. So I thought this is wrestling. It's just what happens. Okay, fine. Never sold merch before. Didn't know if that's how it worked everywhere. But I thought, okay, you know what, fine. So I put my posters out, and then at the end of the night, I go up to the merch desk and I say, okay, did I sell anything? The woman goes, yeah, you sold one poster. So here's your pounds. I'm selling them for £1. Cool. So the promoter comes up to me and he goes, so you sell anything? I went, yeah, I sold a poster for £1. It's like, all right, okay, so that's 10 pence you'll be due me. And he actually made me hand over 10 pieces. It was a £1 coin I had. So I had to go back to the merch desk, ask for change to go and give this guy 10p.
That's a joke.
This guy wanted his peas, bro.
That's funny, fam.
Yeah. So that, yeah, I had to hand over 10 because anyone that sold merch had to give him 10%. So
that's mad.
I can laugh at it now because it's a funny story, but that's just the kind of promotion. I didn't end up working there very long, and not been back there since. I've not been there since 2015. But yeah, it was an experience. It was an experience.
That's jokes. Obviously, with the current status of the current status of the corona and stuff right now. Was there plans for you to come to wrestle in London, or is
no plans to wrestle in London. I'm due down in England. I'm wrestling for Target in July, up in Carlisle. So, but again, as far as I know, the show's still going ahead. They put up saying that they've announced that July will be their first show back. So I'm due there in July. But in terms of down London, nothing yet. It's just as I was starting to put out more and more feelers and stuff to try and get a lot more work down in England, and all this coronavirus has sort of hit. So I'm assuming anything will be on the back burner for now. But when things get up and running, then it's somewhere I'd love to wrestle. Obviously London, so that'll be where I'm looking to try and break into.
Has Corona actually affected your 9 to 5 then as well?
I'm not working just now. I'm sitting at home as well. I've got so much time. I think I've watched more wrestling in the past week than I have in a while. Because I mean, I just sit and I've just honestly, I'll just sit in the house. I'll do my workout and then I'll just watch wrestling and stuff. So I want nothing else to do really. And getting to watch a lot of stuff I've not seen before and stuff I've not seen in a long time. Yeah. But yeah, so I think because I mean I'm midway through watching King of the Ring 2002 just now.
King of 2002 was sick.
Did you watch Test versus Brock Lesnar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
you saw that.
Yeah. Oh, see, because I was watching. I just thought, oh fuck. So obviously I know that obviously Lesnar wins the whole thing. Yeah. But I saw the boot and I thought, fuck, is that the finish?
Yeah.
It was that good. Yeah, I mean, I love Brock. I think Brock is he's always been so good. Again, similar to Shawn Michaels, his selling is phenomenal. Brock currently, Brock's the best seller because when he sells, you think,
he's
oh
hurt.
shit, yeah.
Someone like him selling a move, it means like if it hurts him, it's hurting everybody.
Oh yeah, it was like the Rumble where he came and he was just chucking folk out, and then so when Drew booted him over the over the rope and eliminated him from the Rumble, and he just sold it, and he was just didn't move for 2 minutes. You were like, fuck, that put Drew over big time. Just because he hadn't sold for 12 guys. He sold a bit for Keith Lee and Ricochet when they
Keith Lee did.
Yeah. So he sold, and again, him not selling for many people and then selling for Keith Lee, that puts Keith Lee up there. So Brock, I think Brock's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because when he sells it means something.
Absolutely. I've actually got a sub question to that on our podcast.
Yes, please.
I know.
I'm waiting for this question.
Okay.
We have a view on Brock, his first run versus his second run. Now, me and our other member, Del Boy, we say his second run. However, Nafi and Sam Blacks will say his first one they prefer. Now, it's the tiebreaker to you. What run did you prefer and why?
So, I'm going to say it's a tough one. So
You made the right choice.
I'm going to say second run.
Yes.
I'm going for a second one.
Yes.
Yes, Mark.
Part of the reason I'm going for a second run is so SummerSlam 2002. I was 8 at the time, so I still didn't know wrestling was a work. So when he beat The Rock, I was legit in tears in my living room crying because he beat The Rock at SummerSlam.
I'm there with you, bro. It was emotional.
Yeah, that was sad. I was vexed. I was angry. I couldn't do nothing about it though. I was angry.
I was 8 years old in my living room crying when he beat Rock at SummerSlam. So yeah. But no, I just think that some of his matches, I think his matches just now are very underrated. I mean, again, his match with Brian from Survivor Series last year.
Oh,
I didn't watch it live. I watched it the next day, and I tried to avoid spoilers. But I saw a photo of Lesnar with his hand raised after, but I didn't read anything. And then I watched the match, and when Brian had Lesnar in the S lock, I thought Lesnar was tapping there, and I thought, have I seen an old photo or something? Because Lesnar was that good that where I knew the result, but he made me second guess it.
Yeah.
And it's just I love watching him. He made that Rumble. In January. He was far and away the MVP of that. So yeah, I'm gonna say his second run.
Fair.
You made the right choice. I'm happy to hear that.
I just want to put out there that obviously Brock Lesnar's first run was only 2 years, and for what he achieved in 2 years was a madness. I just want to leave you with that. So if that can just sway you back to my side, then
bro, we're not denying it. Don't worry, it's all right.
But yeah, that's jokes, man. I think we're coming to the end of the pod, but if you just let us know, where we can find you, any more stuff, that the people should know.
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Theo Doros, and Facebook at Theo. Just search Theo Doros and it should come up.
Sick.
Yeah,
man. Go on.
I was gonna say I can't even plug the next show I'm gonna be on because I don't know when it's gonna be. Because I don't know when. Obviously, I think the next one I'm scheduled for. I think pretty much everywhere's cancelled their shows until June, July time. I think so. So yeah,
you had a defense for your Records Intent Championship.
Yeah.
But that got cancelled, right?
Yeah. So I think so. I was meant to be defending against DCT last week, and that's been scrapped, obviously. And then I was meant to be wrestling this weekend, but all those shows were cancelled. So I don't actually know when I'm next wrestling. So as far as I know, it'll be, I think it's May for Reckless, I think. But I don't know whether they'll cancel that show or not. So yeah, around about May, June time, I'd imagine.
Cool. yeah, so hopefully, if you're ever in London, please give us a shout. We need to bless you some merch, and also need to come and support you as well. So please let us know, man. Yeah.
I will do.
And yeah, stay in touch. And also, before we go, I've realised that you're a football fan. What team do you support?
I'm a United fan from
Oh
before my
man, I
sins.
knew it. I already knew it. I knew it. Hey,
Yeah.
do you know, United's one of the most popular teams in the UK. In the UK anyway. I mean, yeah, the UK anyway. So yeah, I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, so I had a season ticket for this year. I had a season ticket for this year, but you know it was it's been grim. It's been grim.
Yeah. Oh well, wait for the season to come back and we'll see how you guys get on. But yeah, thank you for coming onto the podcast. First and foremost, really appreciate it, man. Obviously, from now on, we've got you on our radar now, so we'll be watching all your results,
Absolutely,
man, and cheering you on, man. So you're basically part of the team now. I've got pretty much say.
I'm waiting for that match against Joe when it finally happens.
Yeah.
Waiting for that.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one. I'm looking forward to that one. It's gonna be good fun. So hopefully next time, if I'm ever back on here, I'll be a Discovery Y Division champion as well.
Yeah,
two championships, 3 or 2 belts.
Sick. But yeah, man, appreciate it once again. I've been Anafi.
Lucha V.
And this was the interview with Theo Doros. Appreciate it, bro. Catch you soon, man.
Catch it.